much for coming to Strategy Group this evening. Not an awful lot on the agenda. There's some for this meeting, so hopefully we'll get it done effectively and efficiently. So first of all, the minutes. Are we happy for me to sign them off?
Great.
Oh yeah. And apologies for absence, please.
The Deputy Chief
I
President.
think we're at full house, aren't we? Yes. Apologies. Good. Okay, thank you very much. Declarations of members' interest, please. If at any time you sense or feel there is something that you should declare, please just raise your hand and we will do it at the time. If you've got nothing to declare, pre-meeting, so nothing at all. Thank you very much. Okay, so straight into strategic planning issues. Drayton Park design statement.
Thank you, Chairman. Members will of course be familiar with the concept of a village design statement. We've had many of them here, and we indeed had one at our previous meeting. This, I think, is the first urban area design statement that we've produced or sought to produce, which is exactly the same kind of document, but it's for an urban area, Drayton Park, which, as you know, is a fairly small 27 dwellings adjacent to the reservoir from the late 80s, early 90s. Established as a number of individual properties on large plots, and the people are concerned, and the town council agrees with them, that it would be a good idea to have a design statement to specify while still supporting sustainable development, specify the design guidelines which should be applied to that development, if any. So the idea would be that the design statement, if approved eventually, would be adopted as a supplementary planning document. This is a resolved item, Chairman. It's to resolve that consultation be undertaken on the draft Drayton Park design statement. So there's little point in discussing its detail, although I hope members will have looked at it in order to see what is being talked about and what is being proposed.
Thank you. Any discussion, any debate? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Chair. I always like to say with these documents, they are a beautiful read and officers are to be congratulated. And I'm very happy to say I can still record on them. They're such informative, fine documents. However, on this one I do have a little question to raise. I note the graphic of the wildlife on page 15. And so, for instance, I see the green woodpecker there. I actually saw a green woodpecker there once when I was taking my son cycling there. But I was intrigued by the fact that there's an avocet in the picture. That's the white and black bird in the sort of middle of the picture there, with a curly bit. This is also the logo of the RSPB. And I'm absolutely intrigued that they have avocets there. I didn't know there were birds there. Is that definitely factually correct, I wonder?
Well, I don't know whether you want to pop down and see if you can see one.
I mean, they could well have. I mean, they're not typically found in these kind of locations. But of course, if they do have them there, we probably need to pay extra special attention because they're quite protected birds.
Right, so come shooting season, we don't want to be...
Definitely shouldn't shoot any bird, particularly avocet, which of course is
sorry, I've just got to look from the...
I'm sure you did. I'm sure
I retract that. That was my attempt at talking.
It's okay, sir. We know what it means to do birds, and you're welcome, Chair. But no, seriously, it's interesting. So I think it gives the impression that they can be found there. And if they can, I think on the reservoir, it's very special. It probably affords even greater protection. Yeah. But if they should, we should know that we're not giving the wrong impression. Yeah. Okay, Chair. Otherwise, it's a fabulous report.
No, I actually thought that was quite a nice touch.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, I'm a bird watcher, you see, Chair. This is why I was zooming in on the picture and thought, if they've got avocets, so I'm going to get down there more often for bird watching.
Well, I wouldn't know about the accuracy of that. I don't know whether officers or Alan could shed some light on whether avocets frequent.
I have no information on that. I think it's probably a graphic that has been lifted from somewhere else.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Chairman, I'm sure it would be very helpful to have a consultation response, but just questions that, and we can then verify if that is an accurate decision.
Yeah, there might have been a sighting of one once upon a time, but I shouldn't think it's a popular residence on that particular site. Thank you, Chairman. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to put on record that I think the residents have done an exceptionally good job in initiating this and steering it through the planners who have done an exceptionally good job in advising me and the business team to bring this draft consultation document before us. They deserve a lot of credit for that, because there is something unique about this document, and so many of these throughout the entire county, and I've seen over the years, have been built with the intention of being senior manager houses, if you like. I don't mind an executive. I think people know what I mean. Larger houses and individual lots, self-doing. I've seen these and then as time goes on and things change, somebody spotted a little anomaly in land values, or a chance to add value, or a chance to release marriage value, and they've gone and spoiled it, like building an extension or an inappropriate extension, or squeezing into dwelling in. And I think here in Daventry we want to preserve this as much as possible, because it is unique and it's worthy of it. And this document does its best to try and protect it in a way. It's not going to stop somebody legitimately working within the guidelines to develop just an extension or what. It's really the citing of it. But it is needed, because we do need this type of housing in Daventry. It mustn't rely on just the villages. A lot of those have been spoiled with almost income this going on. So it is necessary, because it's no use getting large entities to come in if you've got nowhere for their senior managers to live. So I'm not saying that we want to live in that particular location, but it's absolutely essential that we do our best to make sure that they're not spoiled in any way. It's a lovely ambience out there on the side.
I would agree. I'm just amazed at how local was in all the different plans and the design statements and the conservation plans, etc. are just numerous, and there's a lot of work required for this work. And so I'm just really pleased that people care so much about their district. They're willing to put these in, which gives them certainly a certain amount of protection when it comes down to development. So very, very appreciative.
I was just going to ask about, consultation. There's only 27 dwellings there, and the consultation is going out on the website and the parish councils, etc. But since it's such a small number of dwellings, 27, would it be possible to maybe mail out a consultation to them to get some engagement?
Chairman, if I can comment. Our law practice is not to do so. I would be reluctant to introduce a precedent of doing it just because of the small number of houses. I think in practice, I suspect we may have quite a number of the residents of Red Park in the room tonight, in fact. I suspect in practice they will be very effective at sharing the message among themselves and making sure that everybody is aware.
Thank you. Councillor Randall.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Is it my understanding that this come on the back of a document that is in place for the residents that hasn't got as much standing as this new document will have? Because I seem to remember there's been some planning applications come forward and this document came to light by the residents. So I just wondered if this come off the back of that.
I'm not sure something.
It's effectively a document. This will be, you're quite right, a supplementary planning document, which perhaps has a little bit more clout than the document that I think you're probably referring to, which came from the town council, I think, initially.
Yeah, I think it was when the houses were built, there was a document that they sort of produced. That nobody seemed to be aware about when there was a planning application, a big planning application, and it was the residents that brought it to the attention. of the town council in the beginning, so I just wondered if this all come off the back of that, just
Yes, it does.
to give them some clarity.
I think it does.
Yeah, and
I
give
think
them
it
that
does, but I think
security.
it's, as has been pointed out, an excellent piece of work. I think that we should encourage the consultation, which will be slightly extended because of the Easter break.
Yeah, let's get some clarification, Mr. Powers.
Chairman, it is correct on the previous slide, when the district council actually had to have the developer of the site put in the road and then sold off individual plots. So there was a design guide produced at the time of that happened to say to people what were the acceptable parameters when building your house. I don't think it's fair to say that was forgotten. It was appreciated in the planning process, but as the portfolio holder has said, having this document, an up-to-date document, as a document, will have significantly more weight than a historic design guide would.
Yeah, another supplementary question was going to be, could these design statements not be done at that sort of, like that initial build, rather than, having to come back and go through it all again? If there was something to put in place right in the beginning when an estate was built.
Okay.
Chairman, it performed a different function. It was produced in a different way, has a different status. It was therefore appropriate to use a document which reflects today's circumstances and has a weight in the planning system.
Thank you. So we're happy to resolve this matter?
Very.
Draft conservation area appraisal for Daventry.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is something that will be very familiar to members. We've had a number of conservation area appraisals completed to this stage recently. Again, it's a resolved item. The Daventry has been a conservation area since the early 1990s, but it hasn't been reviewed, and this therefore follows a review of that conservation area. And the consultation should be undertaken on the conservation area appraisal and management plan draft, and also the Article 4 directions, which, as you can see listed there, the kind of development they are designed to control. I don't think there's anything else I need to say, Chairman, other than I recommend that we resolve that the consultation be undertaken. And again, it might be extended because of the Easter break.
Thank you very much. Members?
Agreed.
Thank you. Can we resolve this matter up to zero?
Agreed.
Agreed, yes, thank you. And we'll move on then finally to the draft conservation area appraisal from Rita.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Again, not much to say about this. Region has been a conservation area since the 1970s. It was reviewed in 97, but there was no up-to-date appraisal or management plan. The document that we're asking to go to consultation now, by resolution of this body, is a Region conservation area appraisal and management plan, plus the Article 4 directions, and again there's a list of the kind of development that those are designed to control. What will happen, of course, is that the Article 4 directions will be further consulted on and dealt with in due course. Right, so that's it really.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Moore.
Chair, I'd like to say I thoroughly enjoyed reading this document. Very interesting, and the officers are to be congratulated and voted positive, yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd like the historic photographs around there. Some of those. I always like to take them and then take them down to have a look at see how it looks now. So anyway, that's my okay. Thank you. So are we happy to resolve this item? Thank you very much. Okay. Any urgent business? Okay. Listen, it's only 1:30, so we're quite happy if you want to hang about. Please do